9 men, including Memphis rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, are facing federal charges for allegedly kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane. About a raid at a Cordova home that belongs to Pooh Shiesty's dad.
On April 1st, 2026, right around 6:00 inches the morning, FBI agents rolled up to a family home in Cordova, Tennessee. But here's the twist. They weren't there for the rapper. They were there for his father. And the moment they knocked and began executing that federal warrant, inside that house was a mother, a woman named Gladys Baines. She stood there and watched federal agents walk out of her home with the father of her son in handcuffs, while at that exact same time, her son was being taken into custody in a completely different state. Same morning, same case. Father and son both gone. And the case? Federal allegations tied to a robbery and kidnapping involving rapper Gucci Mane, a major figure in trap music, inside a Dallas studio. All of this reportedly happening while her son was supposed to be on home detention, wearing a federal ankle monitor, just 6 months after returning home from prison. Now this story, it's not just about legal trouble, it's about family. And today, we're looking at it from that perspective. What actually happened, who was involved, how his mother reacted when everything went public, and what it means for those left behind. Let's get into it. Pooh Shiesty, born Lantrell Williams Jr., wasn't just another name coming out of Memphis. He was that breakout artist, the one who helped push Memphis drill into the national spotlight in a way we hadn't really seen before. His debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, dropped in 2021 and made serious noise, landing at number 12 on the Billboard charts. Features from Gucci Mane himself, plus Big 30, his brother from the city. The streets were backing him. The industry was backing him. His family was right there too. But here's where things shift. That rise didn't last forever. Legal issues started catching up. And by 2022, Pooh Shiesty was in federal prison on a gun conspiracy charge out of Miami, facing a 5-year sentence.
Rapper Pooh Shiesty is facing prison time after pleading guilty to a gun charge in Miami federal court. The case against Lantrell Williams Jr. stems from 3 shootings during the past 2 years, 2 of them happening right here in South Florida.
He came home in October 2025. New car, fan love, a whole moment that went viral online. His mother watched her son step back into freedom, believing the hardest part might finally be behind them. But it wasn't, because just 3 months later, he allegedly walked into a recording studio in Dallas, Texas, with a group of 9 people, including his own father, and got caught up in something that would send shockwaves through hip-hop, through Memphis, and most of all, through his own family. And his mother, Gladys Baines, was left to witness everything unravel in real time. To really understand how it all came apart, we've got to go back, way back. Let's rewind. Lantrell Williams Jr. grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a city with its own culture, its own sound, its own way of moving. This is the place that gave us 3-6 Mafia, a city that built a raw, street-rooted music style the rest of the country eventually caught on to. Pooh Shiesty came out of that environment, and his mother, Gladys Baines, raised him from the start. She supported him early on. And when his music began gaining traction, when the Gucci Mane cosign hit, when 1017 Records came calling in 2020, it looked like everything the family had been working toward was finally coming together. His father, Lantrell Williams Sr., was also present close, involved, and according to federal prosecutors, more connected to his son's world than many people realized. Then there's Big 30, born Rodney Wright Jr., his Memphis brother. They built together, recorded together, showed up on each other's projects. When Shiesty Season took off, Big 30 was right there. When Shiesty went to prison, Big 30 kept pushing forward. And when he came home, Big 30 was still by his side. That loyalty matters, because prosecutors say it's part of what placed Big 30 among the 9 individuals allegedly present in that Dallas studio on January 10th, 2026. This is where things turned federal. In October 2025, Pooh Shiesty walked out of prison after serving 3 years of a 5-year sentence. He had pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess a firearm in connection with violent and drug-related offenses. He came home early. He came home to viral attention. But he also came home under strict conditions, federal home detention, with an ankle monitor locked onto his leg.
And new at 6, Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty is out of federal prison. Court records show the Memphis native, whose real name is Lantrell Williams Jr., was released from a Pennsylvania facility after serving time for a gun charge in Florida.
Williams was sentenced in 2022 to just over 5 years for conspiring to possess firearms tied to drug trafficking and violent crimes. His attorney confirmed the release, saying he's eager to return to the studio.
And new at 6 Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty is officially out of federal prison. Court records confirmed the Memphis native, whose real name is Lantrell Williams Jr., was released from a facility in Pennsylvania after serving time tied to a gun case in Florida back in 2022. Williams was sentenced to just over 5 years for conspiracy to possess firearms connected to drug trafficking and violent crimes. His attorney confirmed the release, saying he was ready to get back in the studio and start making music again. But here's the reality. Those came with strict conditions. No federal offenses, no firearms, limited movement. The government was watching closely. Now, according to prosecutors, sometime during those first few months back home, things started getting tense behind the scenes. There were issues with his record deal. He was still signed to Gucci Mane's 1,017 records, and reportedly, he wasn't happy about it. Sources close to the situation say that by 2024, Gucci Mane had already let most of his artists go, but he held on to just 2, and Pooh Shiesty was one of them. That's the part that raises eyebrows. Gucci specifically kept him even while he was locked up, and according to prosecutors, that decision became a major point of frustration Shiesty couldn't move past. But here's where everything takes a turn. Instead of going the legal route, getting a lawyer, working through management, handling the contract, the standard industry way, prosecutors say he allegedly started planning something entirely different, something involving 9 people, a road trip from Memphis to Dallas, a stop at a Staples store, and weapons. Fast forward to January 10th, 2026. Pooh Shiesty reached out to Gucci Mane and set up a studio session on Dallas Parkway. The message? Let's talk about the contract. Sort this out face to face. Gucci Mane agreed. He flew in from Atlanta with 2 other industry professionals, including his head of security. They arrived in Dallas on a Saturday afternoon, expecting a business discussion. But according to federal court documents, investigators later found that earlier that same day, Shiesty's father, Lantrell Williams Sr., had visited a Staples location. Prosecutors believe he printed out contract termination paperwork there, the very documents that would later be placed in front of Gucci Mane, because from their perspective, this meeting wasn't really about talking. The outcome, they say, had already been decided. On January 10, 2026, at approximately 3:43 p.m., the group entered the studio. 3 individuals walked in expecting a professional setting. What prosecutors claim happened next is now being described as a coordinated armed incident. Pooh Shiesty asked to speak with Gucci Mane privately and pulled him into a recording room. Inside, according to the FBI affidavit, were his father, Lantrell Williams Sr., and Big 30 Rodney Wright Jr., 3 people, 1 conversation.
Lantrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims.
Shiesty placed the contract termination papers on the table and told Gucci Mane to sign. Gucci refused, and that's when, according to prosecutors, the situation escalated. Shiesty allegedly produced a weapon and pointed it toward the man who helped launch his career, the same person who gave him that early cosign, the same one who kept him on the label while he was serving time. Under pressure, Gucci Mane signed. But according to the allegations, it didn't stop there. After the signature, Shiesty allegedly took personal items, his wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Meanwhile, outside that room, prosecutors say the remaining individuals were holding the other 2 men. One, identified as MM, was forced onto a couch and had his wallet and jewelry taken. Another, BP, was restrained from behind and also had valuables taken, including a Rolex watch, a designer bag, and other personal items. And Big 30 prosecutors claim he stood at the door, blocking the exit. Nobody was leaving until everything was done. At one point, according to the complaint, the victims believed their lives were in serious danger. That moment, in that studio on Dallas Parkway, felt final to them. Eventually, they were ordered out. The group then left in multiple vehicles, a Dodge Charger Hellcat registered to Shiesty's father, along with 2 rental cars also tied to his name. They checked into a hotel in Dallas that same night. And here's what really stands out: within hours, several co-defendants were already posting on social media, showing off jewelry, flashing watches, sharing moments that investigators would later review closely. The investigation that followed was extensive, And according to authorities, a significant amount of the evidence came directly from the people involved themselves.
Within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims.
The ankle monitor on Pooh Shiesty's leg placed him at the studio at the exact time of the alleged incident, directly violating his home detention terms. He was supposed to be at home. The federal system was already tracking his movements in real time, without even knowing yet what had unfolded. License plate reader data showed the group traveling from Memphis to Dallas in the days leading up to January 10th. Cell phone records backed up that same timeline. Rental car documents connected Lantrell Williams Sr. to the vehicles used. Then came the surveillance footage from the studio, a nearby office building, the Staples store, and even the hotel where the group stayed afterward. All of it, reportedly, captured on camera. And then, fingerprints. Investigators say they recovered prints from inside the studio, including from red plastic cups left behind, and matched them to multiple individuals involved. Then there's the AirTag. One of the reportedly stolen wallets had an Apple AirTag inside. Its last known location? A parking lot right next to the apartment building where Lantrell Williams Sr. had leased, the same place where Pooh Shiesty had been staying. That single detail led investigators straight back to the front door. On April 1st, 2026, FBI agents executed search and arrest warrants at the family home in Cordova, Tennessee. Lantrell Williams Sr. was taken into custody in Memphis. Pooh Shiesty, who had been staying at a residential reentry facility in Dallas, was taken into custody there. 8 out of the 9 suspects were arrested across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville in one coordinated operation. The 9th individual, Terrence Rogers, who had reportedly posted a Rolex on social media, was still being sought at the time of the DOJ announcement. The 3-2-page criminal complaint was unsealed on April 2nd. And that's when the public learned what allegedly happened inside that Dallas studio on January 10th. Now here's where things really divided the internet. Federal documents indicate that one of the victims, identified as Radrick Davis, Gucci Mane's legal name, cooperated with investigators. He identified individuals involved, described appearances, and provided details about who entered the studio. Shortly after, 50 Cent reacted online, referencing Gucci Mane's past image and questioning how that aligned with cooperating in a federal case. The post didn't stay up long, but screenshots spread fast. And just like that, the debate exploded. Was Gucci wrong for cooperating as a reported victim in a serious situation? Or does his public image change how people view that decision? The internet has been split ever since. Big 30's attorney, Arthur Horn, also released a statement. He emphasized that his client has no prior criminal history, that he and Pooh Shiesty built their careers together, and urged people not to jump to conclusions before all facts are presented. He also expressed hope that Big 30 would be granted bond and fight the case from outside custody. Every defendant in this case, reportedly all 9, faces the possibility of life in federal prison if convicted. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. Gladys Baines. On the morning of April 1st, she watched federal agents carry out a search warrant at her home. Lantrell Williams Sr., the father of her child, was taken into custody, and at that same moment, her son, the one who had just come home 6 months earlier, the one whose return she celebrated, was being arrested in Dallas. Her son and his father both gone. Same morning, same case. She didn't give interviews. She didn't hold a press conference. Instead, she turned to Facebook. On Wednesday, she posted a simple message: "It's power in the name Jesus." No mention of the case, no details, just faith. Then on Thursday, after the DOJ announcement and the public fallout, she posted again. "My ears ringing, blessings on blessings," followed by prayer emojis, and one more post. "I've been blocked, you hating folks, amen." That's all she shared publicly. 3 posts. No statements, no cameras. Just a mother leaning on her faith while the world discussed her family. And honestly, that silence, those few words, those prayer emojis, they say more than any official statement ever could. Think about what Gladys Baines has been through. She raised a son who grew into one of the biggest rappers out of Memphis. She watched him face a federal case at the peak of his career. She went to see him while he was locked up. Then she watched him walk free in October 2025, coming home to fans celebrating everywhere. For a moment, it felt like she could finally breathe. And then just 4 months later, 4 months, the FBI shows up at her door at 6:0 inches the morning and takes the father of her child into custody. No exaggeration. That's a level of pain most people can't even imagine. And the way she handled it? Quiet, composed, leaning on faith, with just a hint of pushback toward people she felt were speaking out of line. YL Woody, who has his own past with the legal system, went on Instagram looking shaken. He talked about seeing Pooh Shiesty come home, drop a first day out record, and then end up right back in custody. His message was clear. Pride and ego are the real enemies. He said the cycle only breaks when the mindset changes. The comments under his post? Completely divided. Some agreed. Some defended Pooh Shiesty. Others questioned Gucci Mane. Clarissa Shields even backed Woody publicly on X. The culture was reacting in real time, but Gladys Baines? She stayed quiet, posting her prayer emojis and moving forward. This case changed everything. For Pooh Shiesty, a man who had a real second chance, a fan base ready for him, industry support still there, it's now looking like that second chapter may never happen. If convicted, he's facing life in federal prison. At his age, that's everything. For Big 30, who according to his lawyer had no prior criminal history and built his own path in music, this situation could cost him his entire future. Loyalty to one relationship may now define everything. His fate is in the hands of a federal court in Texas. For Lantrell Williams Sr., the father who prosecutors say rented the cars, handled paperwork, and traveled to Dallas, he's now facing serious federal charges alongside his own son. And for Gucci Mane, who spent years rebuilding his life, going sober, building 1,017 records into a respected label, earning recognition in the industry, and telling his story of growth, he now carries both the impact of what allegedly happened in that studio and the public reaction that followed when details came out. There's a bigger lesson here, one the culture should really sit with. While Woody said it plainly, mindset is everything. The level of federal monitoring, ankle trackers, license plate readers, digital tracking, social media, none of this is new. None of it was hidden, and yet, just months after being released, that same system reportedly placed Pooh Shiesty right at the center of this situation. Right now, Pooh Shiesty is in federal custody awaiting trial. His father is also in custody. Big 30 is still fighting for bond. Terrence Rogers was still being sought at the time of the report. And Gladys Baines? She's back in Memphis, posting prayers, waiting, watching it all unfold again. That's the part people don't really talk about. No songs, no viral clips, just a mother dealing with it in silence. Because at its core, this isn't just about a case. It's about a family. A mother who raised her son into a major name in Memphis. A father who stayed closely involved in his son's world. A son who came home with a rare second chance. And one afternoon in Dallas, where, according to prosecutors, everything changed. Pooh Shiesty's last Instagram post before his arrest showed off a new luxury car, shared on March 11th. Now, the comments are filled with people speculating about what happens next. Gladys Baines is still posting her prayers. And the federal case? It's only just beginning. If this story hit different for you, if it gave you a new perspective, you already know what to do. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because here, we don't just cover headlines. We break down the full picture, the facts, the people, and the bigger story behind it all. More updates are coming as this case develops every court date, every new detail. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.